The height of when we are out of Canada's growing season, we could be upwards of 60%, 70% American produce, okay? Right now, we're only running at about 30%.
As corn shipments rejected, Canada takes advantage. A farmer in Iowa just posted his nearly new combine for sale because there's nothing left to harvest. American corn was once king at the trade table. Now it's getting turned away at ports, while Canada is quietly locking in billion-dollar contracts. So how did everything shift so quickly? 1. Canada cashes in on billion-dollar contracts. In 2025, rising export inspection fees pushed U.S. corn prices in the Midwest below $3.5 per bushel, lower than the cost of production for many farms. That's made it nearly impossible to turn a profit. As a result, international buyers are backing out of U.S. deals, and cargo is getting rejected at port. Meanwhile, Canada has stepped in, signing lucrative agreements to supply premium corn to markets like South Korea, the EU, and Mexico. For American farmers, this isn't just economic theory, it's hitting home. If you've been hearing chatter about cheap corn, you've probably seen the effects already. Full silos, deferred maintenance, and families debating whether next year's crop is even worth planting. In rural towns, grain elevators are full, and local banks are tightening credit on new equipment purchases. That shiny new tractor your neighbor bought last year, it might be parked for good this fall. Low corn prices and shrinking exports are creating a domino effect. Ethanol production heavily tied to corn is scaling back hard. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, more than 25 ethanol plants in Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota have reduced output or temporarily shut down since early Q2 2025. If you or someone in your household works at one of those plants or hauls the grain that feeds them, you've likely seen reduced hours or the threat of layoffs. In some counties, ethanol is the largest local employer, so when those jobs go, the entire economy feels it. Grocery stores, repair shops, even local schools. And for everyday drivers, supply shortfalls in ethanol blends like E10 and E85 mean prices are rising. A fill-up that cost $2.8 per gallon last week could be $3.10 today. A 30-cent jump that adds up fast for commuting families. As corn loses key export markets, it's not just at home. The U.S. corn industry is losing ground worldwide, with corn prices too low to cover operating costs. More than 25 ethanol plants in the Midwest have scaled back or shut down. Meanwhile, major buyers like Mexico, once a $5 billion customer of genetically modified GM corn, are stepping away. Their Congress just passed a ban on planting and importing GM corn, citing environmental and health concerns. Losing Mexico, the second largest export market for U.S. corn, leaves farmers stuck with full silos and nowhere for cargo ships to go. If you live in states like Iowa or Illinois, this means your local farm community is staring down another risky harvest. And that has ripple effects. If corn doesn't move, feed costs go up for dairies and poultry farms. So while corn may seem dirt cheap, you might still see egg prices climb from $2 to $2.30 per dozen next month. At the same time, Canada is stepping in fast, sealing premium corn supply deals with the EU, South Korea, and even Mexico, which just turned down U.S. product. That doesn't just put America on the back foot, it shakes the foundation of the entire domestic ag economy.
China's Huawei launches a groundbreaking personal computer, marking a pivotal shift from American tech giants while expanding its digital independence. Will a new era of self-sufficient technology redefine how global users connect and work? Huawei has launched the MateBook XP Pro, its first PC fully free of American technology, running Harmony OS Next, an operating system built entirely in China, without Windows, Android, or Google code. Unlike earlier prototypes, this is a commercial product. Windows share in China has dropped from 82% in 2020 to 72% in 2024 as demand for local alternatives grows. Huawei's challenge to Microsoft marks a shift toward digital sovereignty and reduced reliance on US platforms. For American users, this signals a changing global tech landscape. As Harmony OS Next gains traction, US firms may see declining influence, affecting jobs, innovation, and cross-border tech use. Compatibility, collaboration, and data security across platforms could also become growing concerns. Harmony OS now runs on over 800 million devices, from phones and tablets to TVs, cars, and PCs. Its microkernel design boosts security, cuts RAM use by 29%, and starts up 32% faster than Windows 11. It's fast becoming central to China's digital infrastructure. Thousands of Chinese developers are working to grow the ecosystem and narrow the APP gap. As Harmony OS expands, Americans may encounter more products using it, affecting device compatibility, software choices, and app availability. This shift could create challenges in integrating foreign tech, prompting users to rethink their device preferences. Huawei's Harmony OS avoids US cloud platforms, relying instead on its super device network, which links Huawei smartphones, PCs, and tablets, transferring a 2 GB file in just 2.7 seconds. Already used by major Chinese banks and government agencies, Harmony OS is seen as a critical national asset. However, it runs exclusively on Huawei hardware, locking out non-Huawei users. This could deepen tech separation between the US and China. As Chinese systems grow more self-contained, American businesses, travelers, and tech workers may face challenges accessing data, collaborating, or using familiar software in China, reshaping international business and the global tech market. Huawei has invested $4.3 billion in chip development and operating systems, surpassing Xiaomi and Oppo combined. This bold move has drawn quiet scrutiny from US giants like Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, and Adobe. The key question: can China's sovereign OS reach nations under Western sanctions or those seeking alternatives to US tech? If so, it could disrupt the global tech landscape and spark both opportunities and uncertainties. If Harmony OS expands internationally, US firms may face tougher competition and shifting alliances. American consumers and businesses could see changes in pricing, product access, and data privacy. As global competition grows, more attention may turn to where and how devices are made. American wheat exports are quietly vanishing from the world market, with over $700 million lost in just 6 months. What happens when a silent shift in global confidence reshapes the everyday reality for families and communities? In just 6 months, over $700 million in U.S. wheat value vanished, not from disasters, but from lost trust. Major buyers like the Philippines, Mexico, South Korea, France, and Italy quietly shifted orders to Canada. No protests, no disputes, just idle grain ships, overflowing silos, and in some cases, wheat burned in fields. As buyers disappeared, for everyday Americans, this silent export collapse hits hard. Farmers face uncertain futures, and rural communities see jobs, incomes, and small businesses vanish. The loss may not make headlines, but its impact is deeply felt. In towns where a missing overseas buyer means empty wallets at home. The issue goes beyond weather or price. Global buyers no longer trust the U.S. trade system's stability. Confusing customs, inconsistent paperwork, and fears of export bans are driving them away. In contrast, Canada offers a transparent, AI-driven system that tracks quality and coordinates logistics, documents, and insurance. Though U.S. wheat is cheaper, importers now pay more to avoid risk, seeing the system, not the wheat, as unreliable. Low prices no longer guarantee sales. For Americans, and this distrust erodes economic confidence. Farmers and shippers struggle to secure contracts and plan finances. As U.S. reliability fades, banks, suppliers, and rural businesses feel the strain. Stability, once the backbone of prosperity, is now just a memory. Canada has redefined global agricultural trade by delivering timely, standardized shipments with precise documentation. It has earned the trust of markets like the Philippines and the EU. Canadian wheat exports to the EU have risen 40%, with France and Italy shifting 45% of former US orders to Canada. In Mexico, Canada built inspection and packaging centers to meet local import rules, pushing out US wheat entirely. For American communities, this means lost opportunities and rising competition. Jobs, investment, and export-driven growth are shifting north, leaving once thriving towns facing uncertain futures as global buyers turn elsewhere. For many American farmers, the crisis is all-encompassing. Credit lines have tightened, loans for new equipment are denied, milling plants are closing and unsold, wheat stocks are piling up, the logistics network has been disrupted, rail routes canceled, silos left unmaintained, and planting plans for next season put on hold. The ripple effects go far beyond the farm. Banks are wary of lending, supply stores see dwindling sales, and entire communities question their economic futures. The trusted American agricultural brand, built over a century, is now overshadowed, not by poor product but by unpredictable policy and unreliable systems. As families reconsider their ties to farming, the foundation of rural America is being tested in ways not seen for generations. Auto prices are climbing across the board due to tariffs and supply chain pressures. Could your next car payment stretch your budget beyond comfort? Tariffs and rising input costs have pushed the average new vehicle price up by about $3,000 in 2025, bringing typical sticker prices near $49,000. Reports from Cox Automotive project a 4 to 8% hike in auto prices this year as import duties and materials inflation ripple through the supply chain. Importing a car may now cost $5,700 more under tariff rules, while domestic builds face roughly $1,000 extra in parts costs. Middle-income families, who usually budget $30,000 to $50,000 for a car, are now seeing monthly payments increase by $50 to $70 due to added costs. That eats into family savings, potentially cutting back on vacations, home renovations, emergency funds, or even impacting retirement contributions. New 25% tariffs on auto parts and imported cars have become a sort of hidden tax on U.S. consumers. Imported models may carry up to a $5,700 price bump, while domestic vehicles still see a roughly $1,000 increase as manufacturers pass on parts cost hikes. Additional import taxes on steel and aluminum add $500 to $1,000 to prices. Even Americans shopping for cars labeled Made in USA are affected. Spiking costs. Cut into the options available, buyers get fewer features or need to pay more for financing. Hidden tariff pass-on shrinks trade-in value and forces many to choose longer-term loans, raising financial stress. Although chip shortages have eased since 2023, vehicle production remains below pre-pandemic levels. Cox Automotive warns inventories are tight, empowering dealers to raise prices. Used vehicle values are also staying high due to lowered turnover of lease returns. Average monthly loan payments for new cars reach $742 compared to $525 for used, making new financing less affordable. With fewer budget-friendly models on lots, buyers are turning to older, higher-mile vehicles. That pushes up upkeep and repair bills, especially in rural areas where reliable transportation is essential for work, medical visits, and errands. Use of credit cards to cover maintenance is rising, jeopardizing household finances. Automakers are phasing out entry-level sedans and focusing on higher-margin SUVs and luxury lines. Reports show domestic brands are responding by lengthening financing terms. Many buyers now sign 84-month loans. The average age of cars on American roads is now around 12 years, raising breakdown and repair risks. Insurance premiums are also projected to rise by 19% as repair costs increase due to tariffs. For first-time buyers and single-income households, this means a tougher climb. They end up either settling for older, less reliable cars or taking on long loans that stretch beyond planned budgets. Extended financing increases the risk of default or repossession, and older cars result in higher insurance, more roadside breakdowns, and diminished peace of mind for commuting or caregiving responsibilities.